All right, everyone, buckle up. Because today, we're tackling a topic that I think we can all relate to on some level.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving deep into the world of procrastination.
Ooh, a favorite.
I know, right? Like, we all do it, but why?
Yeah.
And what's the big deal anyway? We're dissecting an excerpt today called Why People Put Things Off.
Interesting.
And we're going to expose all those sneaky mental tricks, those little justifications that our brains use to convince us that, yeah, we can totally handle that tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We're going to figure out the real reasons behind our procrastination habits.
Right.
And we're going to look at the not-so-fun consequences that, let's be honest, they can kind of snowball out of control sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm excited to jump into this. Now, one thing that I thought was really interesting is that, like, procrastination, it's not just about laziness. There's like a whole bunch of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're talking fear, optimism bias. Our brains just like love for instant gratification. So much more to it than just being a couch potato.
It's really fascinating how our brains, like, they're wired to kind of protect us from discomfort in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And so procrastination is often like this knee-jerk reaction to just about anything that feels a little bit
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yeah, exactly. But then that can create, like, way more stress down the road, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like avoiding something just makes it so much worse.
Right.
So let's get into the why. Like, why do we procrastinate? The source that we're looking at today, it highlights 5 key reasons for why people put things off.
Right.
The first one is feeling overwhelmed. Have you ever felt overwhelmed?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm looking at, like, a to-do list and it just feels like a mile long, and suddenly binge watching Netflix sounds like a much better plan.
You know what? That's a perfect example because the source actually talks about avoidance.
Oh, interesting.
As like this key mechanism in procrastination. And I was thinking about it, like, imagine your brain is like this tiny but like mighty CEO.
Okay.
Right? And they're presented with this like massive, overwhelming project. And it's just like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
This is too much. Let's just like shelve this. We'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
Like put it in the corner.
Push it aside, deal with it. Never.
But the thing is, it's still there.
Oh, it's always there.
Like looming over you.
Looming, haunting you.
Gathering dust.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so the next reason is this thing called optimism bias. And I was reading it and I was like, that sounds kind of positive.
It does sound positive.
Like, what's wrong with being optimistic?
Right, right.
But
That's the trap. It's a procrastination trap.
It is. It's like, have you ever had that friend who's always running late but swears they'll be there in 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Our brains kind of do the same thing with tasks. We underestimate how long things will actually take, and then we end up in these last-minute scramble sessions, you know? Oh, so true. So instead of, like, tackling the project, let's say, a little bit each day, we think, oh, I can totally knock this out the night before it's due.
Yeah, 2 hours max. It'll be fun.
Oh, I've been there so many times.
As have we all.
All right, so next up we have present bias, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is basically our brain's like obsession with instant gratification.
You got it. Present bias is, think of it like a kid in a candy store.
Okay.
They want all the sugary treats now, and they're not even thinking about dinner.
They don't care about dinner.
No, not at all. And it's kind of how our brains are wired, right? We prioritize the immediate rewards over, you know, the long-term benefits.
Yeah, so it's like choosing to scroll through social media instead of working on that presentation that could lead to a promotion.
The instant gratification, it just wins every time.
Every time. All right, now this one I think is something we can all relate to. Fear of failure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like paralyzing.
Absolutely. And it's like, think of it as our brain trying to protect our ego, right? So if we don't try, we can't fail, right?
Right.
But the funny thing is, that just leads to more anxiety and stress in the long run.
Yeah, it's like we're stuck in this what-if loop.
Yes.
And those what-ifs, they can be pretty scary sometimes.
It can be terrifying.
And then finally, the last reason, lack of structure or planning. This one, like, oh, this is me.
I feel that.
Like, if I don't have a plan, I'm just, like, lost.
Oh, yeah. Without a roadmap, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and like, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
It's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe.
Okay, yeah.
You know, you might end up with something, but it's probably not going to be what you were hoping for.
A delicious mess.
Exactly.
So we've got all these, like, reasons for procrastinating, right?
Right.
But then we add on these justifications, like layers of them.
Oh, the layers of justification.
And why people put things off, the source we're looking at, calls this Pretending things don't need to be done,
Oh, I like that.
which sounds a lot like self-deception.
Oh, 100%. We convince ourselves it's not that important.
Right.
Or that the consequences won't be so bad. Like, we tell ourselves these little white lies, you know?
But I mean, isn't a little distraction, a little instant gratification, isn't that harmless?
Well, of course, breaks are important.
Yeah.
We all need to recharge, right?
Yeah.
But when we're constantly choosing distractions over the things we know we need to get done, those little breaks become like this procrastination monster. It's all about finding that balance, you know?
So it's not just about taking a break.
Right.
It's about what we do during that break.
Exactly.
Like, are we actually recharging or are we just avoiding something?
Yeah.
And speaking of justifications, let's not forget our good friend, blame shifting.
Ooh, classic.
It's so easy to just point the finger somewhere else.
Oh, it's way easier to blame other people.
Yeah.
than take responsibility, right?
All right.
Oh, my internet was down. My coworker didn't send me that file.
Yeah.
Like, it's never our fault.
Classic excuses.
Classic.
And why people put things off takes this idea of justification even further and talks about this like, it won't affect my life mentality.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we put on these like procrastination tinted glasses and we can't see the long-term consequences.
We're blinded by procrastination.
Totally blinded.
Yeah.
And the source, it points to short-term thinking as like this major culprit here.
Right.
But why? Why is our brain so bad at thinking ahead?
Well, remember our caveman days? Remember present bias?
Yes.
Our ancestors, they had to focus on immediate survival.
Right.
Grabbing the ripe fruit now was more important than worrying about, hypothetical future scarcity.
Yeah, makes sense.
The problem is our brains haven't quite caught up to the modern world
Yeah.
where long-term planning, it's kind of essential.
So like they were just trying to survive.
Yeah, just trying to make it.
And now we're stuck with these brains that are like, ooh, dopamine, gotta get it now.
Got instant gratification, gotta have it.
Yeah, design flaw much.
A little bit, yeah.
The source also mentions lack of accountability as like another factor in this. It won't affect my life thinking. Like if there aren't any immediate consequences for putting something off,
You can just push it aside.
it's so easy to just be like, whatever.
Exactly. But you know what they say? Pay now or pay later.
Ooh.
And those consequences, they catch up.
They always catch up.
They do, and sometimes they're much bigger than we anticipated.
Speaking of consequences,
Yes.
why people put things off does not sugarcoat the negative chain reaction.
Nope.
That follows when we let procrastination just take the wheel.
It's like dominoes.
Dominoes.
One falls, they all fall.
And they can topple over some pretty important areas of our lives.
Oh, absolutely. And we're not talking minor inconveniences here.
No?
We're talking about real-world consequences that can impact our well-being, our relationships, our finances, everything.
So, like, what are we talking about here? Give me the rundown.
Okay, first up, stress and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that overwhelmed CEO in our brain? Yeah.
As deadlines loom and that to-do list keeps growing, the pressure just mounts.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights,
Yeah.
difficulty concentrating, even physical symptoms like headaches, all of that can come from that stress.
This reminds me of this one time I totally procrastinated on paying a parking ticket.
Oh, no.
I was like, hey, it's fine. And then, bam,
What happened?
late fees, penalties. It ended up costing me way more than the original ticket.
Oh, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
It was such a harsh lesson
Yeah.
in how those seemingly small consequences can really snowball.
Right, and it's not just about finances or stress.
Right.
It can also lead to missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Think about job offers, chances to travel, even spending quality time with loved ones.
Yeah.
Putting things off can cause us to miss out on some really valuable experiences.
It's like we're constantly telling ourselves, next time, next time. But sometimes there just isn't a next time.
Okay, so what else should we be aware of when it comes to these, procrastination dominoes?
Well, procrastination can really sabotage our productivity.
Yeah.
Because those last-minute rushes, they rarely lead to our best work. Right?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
We make mistakes, cut corners, and ultimately produce something we're not proud of.
And when that happens over and over again, it's got to start affecting our relationships, right?
Absolutely. Whether it's constantly being late or just not following through on commitments, procrastination, it can strain those relationships with family, friends, colleagues.
Right.
It makes us seem unreliable,
Yeah.
even if that's not our intention at all.
So it's not just impacting us.
No.
It's like this ripple effect
Yeah.
going outwards, affecting everyone around.
Everyone around us.
And then there's the financial consequences. I mean, Failing to file taxes on time? Hello? Penalties?
Yeah, big penalties.
Ignoring car maintenance can lead to some pretty hefty repair bills.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then procrastination, it can also lead to, like, missed financial opportunities.
Oh, for sure.
Like, think about investing. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow.
Exactly.
But if you keep putting off making those investments,
Mm-hmm.
you could potentially be missing out on some serious gains.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least.
Yeah.
It's clear that procrastination, it's not just about laziness.
Nope.
It's like this whole web of brain tricks, justifications, and real-world consequences.
It's complex, for sure.
And it's definitely something we should all be paying attention to.
Absolutely.
But, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap things up.
Okay.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final question to ponder.
All right. Hit me.
Knowing all of this, how can we rewire our thinking to prioritize long-term goals over that instant gratification?
Mm-hmm.
What strategies can you put in place to, break free from this procrastination trap?
I love that. Something to think about.
Something to think about. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into procrastination.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And remember, the next time you find yourself putting something off, it's not just about the task itself.
Nope.
It's about understanding those mental gymnastics our brains are doing
Right.
and figuring out strategies to overcome them.
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy productivity,
Happy productivity.
and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
This is DigitView.